Hi everyone, welcome to practice. Thank you so much for joining me tonight and coming to your mat. Welcome to my channel. My name is Anna. This is AWH Yoga. I'm very excited to share this flow with you guys this evening. It's an opportunity for us all to meet again on our mat in whatever state we are in when we arrive there. So I know personally for myself and for a lot of us in the community, obviously, it's a very heightened energy kind of week, and I think we're all kind of feeling that. So what I want you to do tonight is focus on just allowing whatever you have going on to be there. So coming to your mat doesn't mean that you are engaging with something or trying to change something. It's really about coming to your mat as you are and just observing your breath and working with your mind and body connection and just seeing what comes from that. So I want you to keep that in mind as we move through this flow. This is going to be pretty gentle, kind of like a flow down. We're going to do some Vinyasa, and it will be more of a meditative, sort of rhythmic type of flow versus working to, surprise the body a whole bunch. But I think that's kind of what I need right now, so hopefully that can also help you as well. I always recommend your props, of course, block, strap, and if you have a blanket or a towel or a pillow, something that you want to use, grab those and meet me on the mat. We are going to get started in Child's Pose Balasana. So as you come down to your mat, you can be in your child's pose with your knees the width of the mat or closer. Toes are touching, drop the hips back down, arms extended out with palms touching, and then work to drop your forehead to the mat. And as you start to drop in here, just take a moment to notice what's touching the mat. So whether you have your knees far apart or your knees close, whether you have the tips of your fingers or your whole palm, just settle in and drop down and notice. Now start to notice your breath. Sometimes it takes someone actually telling us to inhale and exhale before we realize how jagged and maybe not smooth our breath has been. And oftentimes when our breath isn't smooth, it represents how we're feeling emotionally. And we can use those cues to help us figure out what we can change to potentially feel in a better emotional state. Maybe the situation, the environment, or maybe just our breath. We can reverse engineer that process and use our breath to then inform our state. And let's start to deepen the breath here. Maybe lengthen your inhales and exhales. Perhaps explore what it's like to breathe in through your nose and then out through your nose. When we arrive on our mat, there are no expectations. There's no job to do, no task list to complete. There's just the space for us to meet ourselves. Let's take 2 more breaths here in our first child's pose. On that second full breath, you drop down another inch and a little more of your body makes contact with the mat. 1 more breath. From here, keep your forehead on the mat if you can, and keep everything else placed the same, and then you're gonna reach over to the right side. So you're gonna work to get your right and left hand over, but maintain your left hip down on your left heel. So if that starts to pop up, you've gone a little bit too far. So stretching out and getting some space in the left side ribs, creating some room for that breath, and really stretch. You can even put your left hand on top of your right hand if that's comfortable for you. 2 deep breaths here. Maintain that forehead on the ground if you can. 1 more deep breath. Exhale out. And slowly keep yourself super flat to the ground and come back to center for 1 full inhale and exhale. And stay working gently with the body today. We're going to slowly start to warm up the spine, but we're going to take it easy. So moving over to the left side, keep that right hip down onto the right heel. Left arm and right arm creep over. Imagine that making sort of a C shape. And you can place your right hand on top of your left if that's comfortable for you, or just working toward that goal. Feeling the stretch in the right side ribs, making room for the breath. 2 good breaths here. Coming back, keeping our bodies flat, coming back to the center. And then from here, I want you to go ahead and bring yourself into a tabletop position. So moving the weight onto the hands, moving the knees, hips width distance apart, taking an opportunity to really set up your foundation so your wrists are under your shoulders and your knees are under your hips. And just take a moment, kind of let the blood flow, maybe get back into those feet. You can always kind of tap your shins and tops of your feet on the ground a little bit. I know a long child's pose can sometimes be a little bit bumpy, even though it's wonderful. Let's take a breath here. Inhale. Exhale, nice flat back. Let's do 1 more. Inhale. Exhale. And come back down to your child's pose, but this time keep your knees together. And we're actually going to put our arms behind us. So you can have your palms facing up, forehead to the mat. If you haven't done this variation of child's pose, we're going to introduce it a few times in the practice. But from here, I want you to try to lengthen your neck, so lengthen your cervical spine, and think about creating that by reaching the arms toward the back of your mat and then reaching the energy out of the crown of your head toward the front of your mat. So a little bit more engagement in this version of child's pose. Let's do 3 deep breaths. So we're in a relaxed posture, and we are resting, but we're creating an energy line. 1 more deep breath here. Exhale out. Really let it out. And then bring your palms a little bit in front of your knees, wherever is comfortable for you, to push your hands, bring yourself up to a seated posture. Place your palms onto the tops of your thighs and take a moment to feel the straightness in your spine, or potentially lack thereof. So moving into the position this way, sort of naturally lengthen the spine up, but really breathe into it and feel those collarbones open, the shoulder blades move apart from each other, relaxing the shoulders down, chin parallel to the floor, just in our seated posture, but in a very sort of reverent kind of way. I always call this Japanese tea ceremony, actually. This is what I always think of. 1 more deep breath here. Exhale out. Then mindfully bring yourself back into tabletop. We're going to do a little bit more movement with the spine here. Again, shoulders under your shoulders over your wrists, and your knees are lined up under your hips. We're going to move into our cat-cow. So on our inhale, dropping the belly, chin and chest toward the sky. Inhale, cow pose. And then exhale, cat pose. Now I want you to get all of your upper back involved in this. So instead of thinking about this really coming from the lower back, which I often think of that as where most of the movement happens, really think about engaging and moving and mobilizing the upper back, the thoracic spine. So just keep going on your breath. And just feel how different that is when you think about really utilizing your upper back. Exhale, cat pose, especially in cat pose. See how much room you can get in there. This is really up to you how much you have going. We want to lubricate the spine, start to warm it up, but we're doing it gently. We're not moving aggressively into it. Maybe get another centimeter of space each time. Really work to give that breath lots of room. One more full cycle. And coming back to that neutral spine. Now from here, we're going to move the spine in a couple more different directions. So what I like to do to start this off is we're going to kind of think about a square. So you've kind of made a square here with your foundation points. I think I like to say, not like a parallelogram, you're making like a square. So I want you to think of that sort of, sort of rigid lines, like a square line, and kind of think about moving in a square, right? So move your hips forward and back as if you're kind of going to each point in the foundation with your hips. Maybe your hips are moving to your left hand, right hand, your right knee, your left knee. Keep that going for a little while. Keep breathing. Keep it slow, and then let's move it the other direction. So that same box, but I want you to think about it really mindfully, kind of drawing that box on the ground in between your foundation points, and then pause for a moment, back to neutral alignment. Take a breath. Exhale out, and then we're going to do that again, but more of a rounded motion. So where we were very deliberately keeping those edges sort of strong and sharp, let's round them out. So moving in a circle now, and really feeling the difference. Can you imagine that circle being drawn on the mat in between your foundation points? Really sort of rounding out. Spine's getting involved, hips are getting warmed up, shoulders, wrists, everything. Make sure you do the other way. Keep breathing. So now I'm moving counterclockwise, so going to the left side first, creating roundness. Even though I'm thinking really mindfully about really moving my hips and shoulders in a circle, really warming up the spine. Think about the motions that the spine is doing. Get more involved if you can. One more on your breath. Slowly back to neutral tabletop. So from here, curl your toes back, and we're going to hover for just a moment. Squeeze those elbows in. Downward dog will be coming up next, so we already want those elbows to be squeezing in, and the outer rotation. One more breath here, and then hips to the sky, downward dog. So maybe this is your first downward dog of the day. It's certainly mine. And I think when I get to my first downward dog, I'm always really concerned about my legs. And that's okay. You can go ahead and use this as an opportunity to work out the kinks and cobwebs in the legs. But remember, there's so much more going on in this posture. This is actually about creating length in the spine. And since we were already warming up the spine, we're already ahead of the game. Let's do two more, whatever type of dynamic movement you're doing, and then come to stillness and think about that nice long spine. Let's do one more deep breath here together. Exhale out. Now look forward between your palms. You can come up on your tiptoes, then bend your knees, and then you can step super carefully, a million steps to arrive, to the front of your mat, bringing your feet hips-width distance apart. We're going to move into a very gentle twist. So face you just for a moment. So place your left hand, keep your knees bent slightly, place your left hand either between or kind of
almost where your thumbs, kind of where your toes are. And you're going to twist up from the navel, lifting your right arm to the sky. So keep your hips, your outer hips pulled in. Your left hand is here supporting you, and then you're twisting up gently to the right. If there's any pain, lower back, middle back, any back, you can just gently move your arm up or place your hand in your hip crease. You're still getting the benefit of that twist. We're still introducing the spine to that gentle movement, but you don't have to kind of crank that all the way out. Leave your gaze where it's comfortable. So let your neck sort of dictate how far your gaze can go on this one. One more breath here. Keep it smooth. And then exhale back down. Beautiful. Take a breath here. Pause in between. And let's move to the other side. So right palm between the feet, or kind of halfway, where your thumb is at your toe level. Again, same thing. You don't want to lock out that arm, but you do want it to be pretty much straight, but maybe keep a slight bend, especially if you're a little kind of hyperextended like I am. And then we're twisting up to the left. Arm can be all the way extended if you're ready, with your gaze all the way to the ceiling, or find your happy medium. Today is all about being gentle with ourselves and creating gentle warm-up in the spine, because we don't want to be rigid as we deal with the stress and the strain of these days, and these weeks and these long weeks. We need to leave space, flexible space, for ourselves. One more breath. And then left hand back down. Pause here. Take a full breath. Exhale out. Move back to this position. And then go back to your downward dog. So just step back to your down dog, but stay in stillness right away. And let's take 3 breaths here. Knees can stay bent. Heels are aiming toward the floor. Kind of spread out those toes, you know. I feel like sometimes toes completely get forgotten in a lot of our yoga postures, unless we're deliberately calling them out. 2 more breaths here. Exhale out. Our toes are actually a really important part of our foundation points. Anyone who's hurt their toe, like my friend Katie right now has a really hurt toe, and I'm sure this would be very challenging. You realize how much you need your toes. 1 more breath. And exhale out. Look forward between your palms. You want to do a full exhale before when you do that. You can hop, step, or flow to the front of your mat, bringing your feet hips width distance apart or closer if that's comfortable for you. Keep the knees bent, and then I want you to root to rise, lifting up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands through heart center, down by your side, Tadasana. Okay, so from your Tadasana, we're going to prepare for 4 sun salutations. So the reason I'm introducing them to you now is because, again, like I said at the beginning, this isn't about surprising the body. This is about gently informing the body so we can sort of meet ourselves where we are. So we're going to move into these slowly. They're going to be very rhythmic. I want you to really work on connecting your breath to the movement. 2 basic sun A's, 2 basic sun B's. You'll know where we're going. Let it be meditative. Salutations are actually considered a moving prayer. So think about that as we move through them together. Ready? Inhale, arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Palms to the floor, stepping back into your plank pose, or you can have your knees down, pitching forward, squeeze those elbows in, halfway, lifting up, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. 1 breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Looking forward between your palms, up on your tiptoes, bend your knees, hop, step, or flow to the front of your mat, feet hips width distance apart, landing in halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, all the way up. Exhale, hands through heart center, down by your side, Tadasana. Let's keep going. You know where we're going. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, palms to the floor, stepping back, plank pose, squeeze the elbows in, pitching forward, halfway down, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog. 1 breath in, breath out. Looking forward between your palms. Hop, step, or flow to the front of your mat. Landing in halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands through heart center, Tadasana. Pause for a moment. We're going to take 3 deep breaths and reground here. You can keep your hands in prayer or have them down by your side for Tadasana, drawing your tailbone to the floor, feeling all 4 corners of your feet. Soften the shoulders, soften your eyelids. That's right, your eyelids. One more breath. And exhale out. Let's do 2 beautiful sun bees. Inhale, arms up, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Hands down, forward fold, moving and stepping your feet back, pitching forward, squeeze the elbows in. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. From your downward dog, lifting your right leg up, hip height, curling your knee to your nose, dropping your right foot down closer to the right side of your mat. Feeling your foundation nice and strong. 45-degree angle with the left leg. Squeeze the outer hips in, lift up, warrior one, hold. 2 breaths here. Shoulders soft. Jaw is soft. 1 more breath. And exhaled, hands through heart center, palms to the floor, moving that right foot silent and strong back, pitching forward, squeeze the elbows in. Inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, Adho. Left side, left foot up, hip height. Curl your knee to your nose. Left foot down, closer to the left side. Feel your foundation. Right foot down, 45-degree angle. Squeezing those outer hips in, lifting up, warrior one. Hold. Soften the shoulders. Line yourself up. 1 more breath. Exhale, palms through heart center. Palms down to the floor. Left foot goes back to meet right, pitching forward. Squeeze the elbows in. Inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, Adho. 1 breath here. Exhale, let it out of the mouth. Inhale, look forward. Hop, step, or flow to the front of your mat. Feet hips width distance apart, land in halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chair pose, hold. Chair pose, hold. So in your chair pose, squeeze those outer hips in. Great place for a block, like we talked about last week. This creates that harmony between squeezing in, but keeping those legs separated because you want to have them neutral out of the hip socket. Drop down 1 more inch. Prayer twist to the right. So looking to the right, like we've been twisting, from the belly button over, everything else stays the same. Let that left elbow find that right leg. Keep everything else the same, weights in the heels, smoothing out the breath. Make it gentle. 2 more breaths here. 1 more breath. And back to center for a breath. Prayer twist, other side. So everything's squeezing in, twisting from the belly button over, outside of the right elbow meets the left leg. Now you can use, essentially, your body as a lever here, but really it's about creating length here and maintaining everything in this posture here. I always had a teacher that would come up to me in class and sort of try to squeeze me together, and I'm like, where are the muscles that do that? Glute meads, they're there. 1 more breath, and then lifting back up to center. Hold for a breath, hold for a breath, let it all go. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Beautiful job, guys. Let's just come all the way up to Urdhva Hastasana. We'll call this a fun bee. Exhale, hands through heart center, down by your side. So you know where we're going. We're going to do exactly the same thing. Even if I get it wrong, you guys know where we're going. Here we go. Inhale, chair pose. Just a quick one. We'll do the other one later. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, palms to the floor, stepping back into your plank pose, squeezing everything in, elbows in, pitching forward halfway, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. From here, right leg up, hip height. knee to nose. Placing the right foot down closer to the right side, squeezing in those outer hips again. Left foot drops, 45-degree angle. Squeeze them in, coming up, warrior one, hold. 2 breaths here, rotating that torso toward the front, aiming the hips toward the front. 1 more breath. Exhale, palms through heart center, down to the side. Right foot meets left, silent and strong, pitching forward, squeezing in. Inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, Auto. Left foot up, hip height, knee to nose. Dropping the left foot down, squeezing in, finding your foundation, 45 degrees on the right foot, squeezing in and up. Warrior one, hold. 2 breaths here. Calm your breath. Smooth your mind. 1 more breath. Exhale. Hands through heart center. Down to the side. Left foot meets right. Pitching forward. Squeeze those elbows in. Inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, Auto. Auto Mukha Svanasana. 1 breath here. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale. Exhale, let it out. Let's do 1 more. Inhale. Exhale. Looking forward between your palms, up to the tippy toes, bend your knees. Hop, step, or float to the front of your mat, landing in your halfway lift just for a moment, coming up, chair pose. You know where we're going. In your chair pose, block or not, prayer twist to the right. Drop down another inch, weights in the heels, squeeze these in, make sure you can see your toes. Chair pose, can you see your toes? Turning from the navel. Think of your body in 2 parts. Bottom part, top part. Top part only is moving. Maybe you don't get all the way. Maybe you get to here. If you get to here and you're twisting from the navel up, you're doing it right. 2 more good smooth breaths here. 1 more breath. Coming back to center, drop another inch. It's the last one of these that we're doing. And prayer twist to the left. Twisting from above the navel first. So the elbow can support you, but really the twist should be happening here. So if you can only go this far, your elbow might be right here, and that's just right. 1 more breath. Drop an inch. Coming back to center. 1 more deep breath here. Prepare to let it all go, forward fold. Beautiful, guys. Stay in your forward fold, bend your knees. You can even wiggle a little bit if you want to. Really let it all go. The past is the past. Deep breath in, forward fold, super deep. And then I want you to place your palms in front of you about shoulder width, and then move your legs out to the side. Toes are out, heels are in, yogi squat. So, did you hear my knee crunching? Yogi squat, you should try to come down with symmetry, which I did not do because of my knee. So when you come down into your yogi squat, so if we're here, you want to really open the legs, try to come down with symmetry, and then you can kind of wiggle around. So you do want to be careful in whatever way you arrive there. Another great place for a block. So you can absolutely get the full benefits of this and still be seated on your block. So in our yogi squat, using a lever here, our elbows can be pushing the inside of our legs, and you want to be thinking of coming up out of the position so you don't have your back arched. Remember, we were focused on our cat-cows and thinking about our thoracic spine, how much mobility we could get in there. Again, thoracic mobility, I think that was the answer to like 9 out of 10 questions on my yoga training test. You can never go wrong with that as your plan for the day. It affects every single posture, and it really allows us to stay flexible in our asanas. And since the spine is what holds us up, it's important that that not be rigid as we use it to walk around this planet. 1 more breath here in your yogi squat. Let's move into a twist. So I'm simply going to remove the block, but I'm staying in my yogi squat. Feel free to stay on your prop.
what we're going to do is just a gentle twist. So taking your right shoulder and working to move that in front of your right leg. Both feet stay flat on the ground if you can. If you're up or you're seated on a block, your feet might not be flat on the ground, that's fine. You're going to keep your right arm, keep your rotation neutral, placing your right palm on the ground, stretching up, left arm to the sky. Let your neck tell you how far your gaze will go. So for me, my neck says, probably stay right here. Wherever you are, get a nice smooth breath. And then come back to center for just a moment. Take a breath here. Feel neutrality again. Maybe relax those glutes if you're squeezing them. And let's do the other side. So start with the left shoulder, moving sort of toward like you were going to do a bind, but instead of us actually turning our arm this way, we're going to keep our rotation essentially neutral or not internally, and place our left palm on the ground and then stretching up. You may be able to access a bind here if that's in your practice, feel free. Looks like kind of like this. Feel free to explore the fullest expression that your body wants to do today. One more good breath here. And then bringing it back to center for just one more moment. I know we've been here for a while. And then from here, we're going to move into Navasana. So dropping your butt to the floor, balancing, finding those sits bones, boat pose. So from our boat pose, keeping the legs neutral in the hip socket, holding that up, activating that core, broad, open chest. And then you can drop the knees down. And then I want you to cross your ankles right over left, moving forward, make it dynamic and fluid and beautiful. Child's pose. Dropping into this child's pose. This is the beginning of our cool down. Take 3 to 5 really good breaths here. And allow your body to know the good job it has done. Soak in those benefits. You can also choose to use the modification of the child's pose we did earlier, where you place your forehead on the ground and your hands behind you, palms up. You can also choose to roll your forehead on the mat. Typically easier in the version where your knees are apart. You can roll the top of your forehead on the mat, continuing to encourage the nervous system to relax and to settle down. One more deep breath here. And slowly bring your body back up into a seated position on your mat. I'm going to move into just a couple of folds. So from our seated position, we did our boat pose for just a moment earlier. And the reason I added that sort of in as a transition is just for you to, again, have that locating of the sits bones, situation. So sometimes I feel like that was the hardest thing for me to figure out in yoga, was like, where are my sits bones? So that is kind of your balance point. It's always a little more forward than I think about. So I want you to locate those again. Stretch your left leg out. Seated tree pose, so bringing your right inner sole of your foot to your inner left thigh. Find your sits bones. Did you find them? Okay. So finding your sits bones, energy in that left leg, toes to the sky, moving the body so we're facing forward, lined up. Inhale your arms up, and then exhale, forward fold. Now, as we always talk about, this is about length. So it's not about folding completely flat. You don't want to be arching your spine. You want to actually be thinking length first. A great way to think about how to get length, if it doesn't feel natural to you, is just actually think about sort of stretching out of your own hips. So stretching up and out, and then folding forward. Wherever you are is where you're meant to be. Right now, we are all on our mat, together. Enjoying this practice. And take one more final breath here. And then bring yourself back up, longer and taller than you were when you started. Arms above your head, shoulders soft. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to switch to the other side, and I want to start introducing something to you that we can continue in our Shavasana. So I've been listening to a meditation that's really beautiful on Insight Timer app. Stretching your right leg out in front of you, energy, toes to the sky, seated tree on the other side. So sole of your left foot touches in your right thigh. Find your sits bones. Inhale, lift and lengthen, forward fold. So in this meditation, and I apologize, I don't know the individual that made it, the gentleman that made it, but it's short, it's 11 minutes. And there's a part of the meditation where he says, repeat the word to yourself, calm, the word calm. And as you sort of repeat it in this meditative, mantra kind of way, what's really interesting is you hearing yourself say the word calm and how that brings a sense of calm. So I would encourage you, if that works for you or another word of your choice works, to just try that out with me this evening, and maybe that's something that can help move your meditation practice forward. We've warmed up our bodies and now we're moving into the cool down. This is a really good place to sort of drop in. We're sort of ready to receive right now. So try that out with me and just say the word calm to yourself. You can say it out loud. You can say it in your mind. You can choose another word. Calm. Calm. And one more breath here. I want you to lift and lengthen longer and taller than when you started. Hands through heart center and down by your side. And then carefully move your left leg back up and then bring your right foot to meet it. We're going to move into fire log pose. So place your left foot down on the ground, keeping your left leg down on the ground, left foot is flexed, and then move your right leg on top of it. Great place for props. If you cannot flatten your knee on the ground or your foot on the ground, feel free to place the block or a blanket if you want something a little bit smaller underneath. You will find though that there's typically a little resistance. We didn't do a lot of hip opening, so there might be a little resistance in the beginning, but if you just work with your body, it will typically open up for you. So keeping that foot flexed on either side but not sickled, and then lifting up, finding our sits bones, and then stretching forward. If you're already feeling a lot of sensation here, you don't have to move forward. You can just place your hands here like I'm going to do, and breathe. And be calm. One more breath here before we switch to the other side. And I've already decided to close my eyes. Maybe you closed yours as well. You can open or close them. Let's move our legs back to center for just a moment and sort of do a little thank you legs. And then I want you to do the opposite side. So right leg on the bottom, left leg is on the top, or if you started the other way, just switch. Again, using your props as you need to. Feet are flexed but not sickled. That helps protect the knee. And then lifting up and finding those sits bones, shoulders soft. Inhale, and maybe you fold forward. Wherever you are, think length. Keep those sits bones grounded. Maybe you're here with me, or we're just sort of in our meditative position, but feeling that great sensation in the outer hips. And we're feeling calm. One more deep breath here. And exhale out. And carefully remove your legs from our fire log position and place them just in a comfortable Sukhasana. So for me, that's kind of back to sort of cross-legged style. I'm going to do a little bit of a side stretch just to continue to encourage sort of that flexibility in the spine and just feel where we are from the beginning. So sits bones grounded, right palm onto the floor beside you, keeping that left sits bone down, and then stretching over to that right side. And then I want you to turn your body, so right now your chest is kind of opening up to the sky. I want you to turn your body down, and then I want you to sort of crawl over like this, over to the other side. And then we're going to come back through that side. So it's kind of a little bit rhythmic, kind of a little bit not, and then let's do that again. So right palm, and then opening up to the left side and keeping your sits bones grounded. You might have to actually just do it slowly, you know. It's kind of a lot for the spine. Carefully moving over. And we'll do one more. So left palm, and then right arm reaches up and back over, right palm down. Left arm up, and then we're crawling forward. Just a little bit more of that rhythmic, meditative feel with the breath. Inhale. Good opportunity for your ballet arms, palms down onto your knees. We'll do the other side, 3 of those. Inhale. Exhale out of the mouth. Drop those shoulders. Left palm down to the side, stretching over to the left first. Get that space in the right side body, and then we're going to be crawling forward, moving over, keeping your sits bones grounded, really stretching, getting length in the back. Right palm hits the ground, and then stretching up. For your ballet sunrise arms there, and then one more, or 2 more actually, and then we're crawling over. Feel free to come up with any type of your own inventive movement in regard to this, but keep it fluid. Keep the breath work going. Just keep it smooth. Right side, and then right arm. Stretching out, kind of like our side twist and our child's pose at the beginning, combining all of our spinal movements and twists and breath. Inhaling up and down, placing your palms onto your knees. Deep breath in and exhale through the mouth. Inhale and exhale, side out. Let's do that 2 more times and hear that audible sort of fogging up the mirror sound. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. I don't know about you, but every time I do that, I can physically feel my shoulders dropping down an inch each time. Beautiful job, guys. Make your way onto your back. I'm going to take 2 gentle movements here and then move into our Shavasana. So once you find yourself on your back, where we haven't been yet this evening, take a moment to just feel how that feels. Just let yourself be all the way here. I'm not even doing anything fancy, maybe constructive rest with the knees, hands comfortably on my belly, just here. Now take a deep breath, bring your knees in for Apanasana. It's actually called wind relieving pose. And from here, bringing your shoulder sort of mindfully down a little bit away from your ears and creating some length in that cervical spine. Let's do a little bit of a spinal twist. Extend your left leg down, keeping your leg neutral from the hip socket, squeezing that right knee in. Now we're in half Apanasana, half wind relieving pose. You can create some energy in the left leg and toes can come up, and then we're gonna, might be a great place for your block as well. We're gonna twist over, leg is over to the left. This is actually a twist to the right. And it should feel really good on the spine because we've been pretty much paying good attention to it throughout the practice. You can aim to have your cross shoulder on the ground, but it's okay if it doesn't get there. Really, it's just about creating that sort of harmonious kind of opposition that happens. This is really so excellent for your spine. Twists actually help create strength, allow for flexible or for mobility within the spine. You know, you think of your spine as holding you up and just being straight and strong, and it really needs to move a lot. One more breath here. And exhale out and carefully bring your right knee back into the chest. And then release that right leg down to the ground. Bring your left knee in, half Apanasana on the other side, and then we're going to move into our gentle twist, gentle supine twist the other way. So again, using your props would be great here. Moving your left leg across the body, so over to the right side, and then your cross shoulder is now your left. Arm can be extended with palm up, palm down. Hand can be placed on the body, whatever is comfortable for you, but try to create that crossed twist and then smooth out the breath. And just let your body be calm. One more breath here in our gentle twist. Bringing your left knee back into the center. Then bring your right knee to meet it. And we're going to move into what I call waterfall pose. If you have shoulder stand in your practice, you can take shoulder stand at this time. But really what we're looking for is just a little bit of some inversion benefits. So stretching your legs up straight from the hip socket. You can do sort of a point and a flex at the same time. I think they call that like a point. Or you can sort of allow your feet to kind of be more flexed. Those are typically more comfortable for me. And then actually, you can just remain here, and if you work to sort of allow, you know, the energy to kind of reach its maximum, and then like sort of release it back down into your hips. Kind of if you think about, actually we can move into this dead bug pose, which is another one of my favorites. So stretch your arms out as well, and then sort of drop your shoulders back into the socket, and then keep a little bit of energy in your feet, in your hands, and your arms and legs, and then I want you to sort of release all that energy. So maybe bend your wrists, let your arms get heavy in the sockets. Same with your legs. Relax your jaw. My friend, who's a yoga teacher, Mary, she always did this in her classes, and I would live for this class during the week. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Surrender. One more breath. And then bring enough energy back into your limbs to just bring your knees, drop them into the chest. Give yourself a beautiful, well-deserved hug in your Apanasana. And then bring your head and neck off the mat. Bring yourself into a tiny little ball. Deep breath in, and then release everything out. Shavasana. Releasing the need to control the breath, just let it return to its natural rhythm. Releasing your body to be supported by the earth. Sink your hands into a pillow and take a full inhale and exhale. From that fullest exhale of release and surrender, keep your eyes closed. Use your right palm to push you up into a seated position, and we will begin to close our practice together. Your seated position, place your palms on your knees. Take this moment to thank yourself for honoring what your body needed today, to allow yourself the time on your mat to find your inner calm. Arms up, inhale. Hands through heart center, exhale. Inhale your thumb knuckles to your third eye. We bow together. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope that you enjoyed this practice. I hope everyone has a great week, and I can't wait to see you again. Thank you.